This is the Joint Budget and Finance Committee meeting with the special called Committee of the Whole meeting. It is Monday, September 13th, and we are hereby called to order. Ladies, do we have any changes to the meeting minutes, or is there a motion for approval?
I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and properly seconded that we approve the meeting minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now we are to the consideration of our consent agenda. Does anyone have any item that they would like to place on consent?
Mrs. Abbott, I have some items I'd like to place on consent, please.
Okay.
Item number 4 on page 1. Items number 5, 6, and 7 on page 2. Items 8, 9, and 10 on page 3. Item number 12 and 13 on page 4. Items 14, 15, and 16 on page 5. Items 21, 22, 23 on page 7. Items 24, 25, 26 on page 8. And I'm not sure if you all go ahead with item 29 on page 9 or item 20 on page 7. But if you would like to listen to those, I'm in agreement.
I'm good with both those items.
Okay. You did not mention item 27 on page 8.
You're so right, and that is a neighborhood discretionary. I'm good with that. 27.
Okay, and then...
And also...
And not 28 and 29. Right, right.
But on 29.
Well, I don't know why I colored it purple. I didn't mean to, so purple is my color for wanting to hear it. So, I'm going to read back through these just so everyone in the audience will know if they can leave. The items that have been suggested for placement on the consent agenda are item 4 on page 1, 5, 6, and 7 on page 2, 8, 9, and 10 on page 3, 12 and 13 on page 4, 14, 15, and 16 on page 5, 21, 22, and 23 on page 7, 24, 25, 26, and 27 on page 8, and item 29 on page 9.
Madam Chair, President Pro Tem also said item 20 as well.
20 on page 7.
Oh, I have a question about that one,
Okay.
if y'all will indulge me.
That's fine. Thank you.
So, do I hear a motion for approval of the, oh,
If you don't mind, it'll save me the trouble of having to ask the questions during council meeting. Item 6 and 8, if we could just have an explanation of those.
okay, well, we'll take them off consent.
Thank you.
That way you
Appreciate
can
it.
hear them. And I'm sorry, I meant to ask your opinion, and then I just went right on like usual. So, we will take items 6 and 7 off of our proposal.
8.
6 and 8. Oh, 6 and 8. Took off the wrong one. Now, when I try to read 7, y'all stop me.
Moving.
Okay, do I hear a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So if anyone in the audience was here for any of the items we consented, you're free to do whatever you want this afternoon. Thank you. Okay, our first item is item 6. A resolution pursuant to Section 11-40-1 and 11-43-140 of the Code of Alabama, 1975, authorizing the mayor to execute and deliver a purchase agreement for not more than 2 years with Lexipol, LLC, for reference manuals and an annual subscription to fire policy subscription services used by the fire department, with the city paying an amount not to exceed $76,274.45. Said funds to come from GL 001-022-16009.527-050 professional services.
Move the item.
We have a motion that has been properly seconded. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Council. Corey Moon. I serve as the Fire Chief of Birmingham Fire and Rescue. The item before you is a policy updating and policy training platform. Using this platform will ensure that we have consistently vetted, updated, defensible policies. So the total cost of the 2-year program is $76,274.45. And the cost breakdown, year 1, the cost is $49,064.25. And part of that cost is the implementation process, which is $37,500. Year 2 cost is $27,210.20. And if we decide to continue the program after year 2, we'll have to renew the agreement, but it'll be at the year 2 cost.
Councilor O'Quinn, did you have questions?
Okay, so let me tell you back what I heard, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong. So this agency, Lexipol, would conduct like a review of the fire department's policies and make recommendations for changes and implementation. Is that roughly correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. They assist in updating the policies that we have. They get them in line with state and federal law, so we make sure that all of our policies are up to date and in line with the state and federal guidelines.
And when you say policies, does this pertain to like emergency response times, or or is it HR policies?
So it's related to our entire policy manual. We have over 120 policies that cover operational, HR, and procedures, and they will assist us in updating all of those policies.
Okay. All right. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, we're good. We're ready to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So that item passes and will be sent to the full council. Our next item is item 8. A resolution authorizing the mayor to increase funding for an existing agreement between the City of Birmingham and Alethea House Incorporated, whereby an amount of $150,000 from Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Program Administration funds will be added to the existing amount of $387,244, bringing the total amount of funding available to an amount not to exceed $537,244. The funding increase will allow Alethea House, Inc. to continue client application intake, screening, and case management services to support the program administration, management, compliance, and financial reporting required to administer the Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Mr. Hatcher?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and properly seconded. Thank you. Now, Mr. Hatcher.
Good afternoon. Chris Hatcher. I serve as Interim Director of Community Development. The item before you, just as you read in the description, is an amendment to the agreement to increase the funding to Alethea House for case management for the program.
Can you straighten up the microphone a little bit so we can hear you better? That's a
Can you hear me?
pitiful microphone.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Yes, so the additional $150,000 will go towards, allow Alethea House to continue their case management for our ERA program.
Okay, and are things moving more smoothly now?
Yes, things are moving extremely well. To date, we've approved 530 applications, and that has been total an amount of almost $3 million. So we're well over 50% of paying rent and utilities, where programs across the state and country have not been able to pay those bills so quickly.
Okay, well, I know the last time you were before us, one of the issues was that the applicants did not come with all of the proof and documentation they needed. Is that getting better as the word gets out?
That is always an issue. That's still an issue. It's improved. A combination of two things have happened. First, the Treasury Department has become a little bit more lenient on their requirements. In many instances, the applicants are able to self-certify or self-attest to many of the items, so they don't have to provide the documentation. They just have to sign a piece of paperwork that they self-attest that they meet these requirements. We still have to do our due diligence and follow up with them, but they don't have to provide that specific documentation as long as they don't have it. And secondly, we are just become more adept to the program and more able to run it efficiently.
Good, thank you. Are there questions?
Sure. So is this specifically, well, let me back up a second. So we got a second tranche of rental assistance funding, correctly? That we just approved that recently. I think it was about $4 million.
$4.9 million, yes.
Yeah, so is this connected to that additional, to that second tranche of funding?
No, this is not necessarily connected to that. With that second, we're still working on the policies and procedure around that second round of funding, because as you all remember, the requirements are slightly different. This will allow them to complete the first round expenditures of the program, and we are projecting, based on the number of applicants that we already have in the pipeline, that we're going to expend those dollars, be able to expend those dollars before the end of the year.
So the reason why I ask is because I kind of view this as like a change order in a project that, it's unfortunate that these additional costs weren't foreseen at the outset.
Well, yes, but you have to remember, Counselor, that, we had to stand up a totally new program, as did many jurisdictions across the country. So what that meant was that we didn't know the amount of time, we didn't know the amount of effort, there were a lot of variables that we did not know, we just had to guesstimate. So because of that, we didn't know what the human resources would take to get people to submit the correct documentation, so there are a lot of variables that we just could not, estimate accurately. So we knew that there was a possibility that, we were going to have to do some changes and extend some additional funding to meet, these requirements. And under the ERA, under the Treasury program, they did allow us to have those, reserve that money as admin in order to take care of this. Okay.
Good afternoon, Council. Kelvin Datcher, Mayor's Office. I'm going to say what Chris won't say. Chris has done a phenomenal job of standing this program up. right now, the state of Alabama is at 13% of what they receive is being awarded. Right now, we're upwards of 50% of what we are. So we are 4 times ahead of getting these dollars out as the state, which got about $250 million. And so I want to make sure that everyone understands kind of in comparison. One, this was a novel program, meaning we had no idea really what the need was, right? We didn't know how many operators we needed. We didn't know how many sessions we would need. We didn't know the capacity of email that we received. We didn't know the amount of coaching that it would take to get folks through that process. Quite frankly, we have worked, our federal lobbyists have been phenomenal in communicating directly to Treasury. Our challenge is to ensure that those were taken into account. So there have been, how many different adjustments from Treasury? 3? 3 at this time. 3 adjustments, and we were a part of, our reporting was a part of all of those adjustments in getting this done. So we that's why we provided you guys with these numbers today. So if you look at those percentages in the rent and utility assistance, we are way ahead of similar folks, even those with greater capacity. So our need is great in this community, and quite frankly, the need has overrun the capacity that we've budgeted for in our first round. So we appreciate your consideration on this. Again, this was not kind of something that we'd done before. We had no idea of the number of folks that would come forward. We had no idea, quite frankly, of what the actual process that Treasury is going to set out would look like. And so this is an adjustment in midstream, quite frankly, to that process. Even though the process is going well, we want it to go better. It's like having double doors, and now one door is open and we're getting folks through. We want to open both doggone doors and get as many people through as possible. So that's just increasing the capacity right now for our partners at Alethea House.
So I'm going to ask this again. So will the additional $4.9 million that's going into rental assistance,
there will be an additional administrative capacity ask for that as well.
So simplify it for me. Is Alethea House coming back with another contract for that tranche of money?
Yes, sir. There will be a separate decision made. It could be a contract. His team may be doing it internally. That decision has not been made yet. We want to get through this $6.2 million before we make a decision about that or a recommendation to the mayor and to you all about that second tranche. Again, that's 4.9 we received. That's half of what we're going to get total? What's the percentage? Is that total? Okay, so we'll get another, that 4.9, we have not yet determined how we're going to get that out the door. Fortunately, we got lessons learned now, right? We know how to do it. We know where to go. We know the public sessions work well. Folks will have the phone numbers, and our citizens will also understand what they need to submit, right? And so the lessons learned at the Treasury level, at our level, and at the resident level.
I do have a question before you get away, or the two of you get away. I see that there are 2,475 applications in progress.
Correct.
I have to assume that maybe all of them will not qualify, but if they did, do y'all expect at some point you're just going to run out of money and have to tell somebody sorry?
Yes. Unless the federal government, under the ERA, unless the federal government, provides awards additional funding, we may have to. We have to remember, though, we also have some additional CARES Act under our emergency solutions grants, coronavirus, that may also help address some of these issues, because they're very similar programs. And one of the barriers that we've been running into with our ESG award to our sub-recipients is that because there's so much money on the street with competing dollars, they haven't been able to get their money out the door as well, because we're doing a lot of work here with ERA. So we're not going to be out of if the over 2,000 applicants, if they are eligible, we're not going to be able to service all of them, but we're going to do our best with the resources that we do have.
Thank you.
And Ms. Abbott, as well, the Alabama Housing Finance Authority received a tranche for the entire state, and they were very good in allowing Birmingham residents to apply for those dollars up until we got our program stood up. If we get close to that point where, quite frankly, it's good from an operational side if we get to that point. It's not great from a needs side. But if it's good from our operational side that we can meet that capacity, then we'll be going to Mr. Young, David Young at the Alabama Housing Finance Authority, asking them for additional support from the state level. But we just wanted, I just wanted to make sure you guys got a really good sense of our escalating capacity that has happened over the last several months. And Chris is a great manager. He's not a great salesperson, so I'm telling him to sell himself because he has done a hell of a job with this.
Well, good, then maybe he should be something besides acting.
I do have a question, Ms. Abbott.
Yes, ma'am.
For the team before you leave. Thank you all for the work that you're doing, and I do understand the questioning that's been presented already. I am happy to hear you say lesson learned. I know project management, we often go into projects with an assumption that we'll meet certain objectives, and then as things change or things appear, we have to add those to the project. So this is what I'm hoping, and I'm asking if you'll tell me. So this funding increase, do we feel that it will increase, not necessarily capacity, but will increase output? Will it aid us in efficiency and the amount of time it takes to get monies into the hands of the people that need it?
We're already working at capacity. I mean, we're already exceeding capacity. I mean, in the last several weeks, we have turned around over 250 applications. So we're working, we've met that. This will allow us to continue
Okay. Yeah.
working at a high level.
Okay. All right, that's what I just wanted to ensure. And then when the 4.9, there may be an opportunity then to even increase more capacity as you go back and look at the services that have been rendered so far. Is that what the plan is? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Abbott.
Thank you, and just to make sure I didn't misunderstand, for some reason I wrote down that 530 applications had been approved.
Correct.
So then we have this handout,
92.
and there's no 530 on this handout.
It's not on this handout, but I mean, this was to give you, this application, it was omitted, our apologies. This application was just to give you an idea of the number of applications that we still have in the pipeline and the number of applications that have been submitted and are to be reviewed, which is 340. The number that are currently under review, which is 318, and then we have, another 92 that has been pre-approved. That is just as of today. These numbers will change tomorrow.
Yeah, and I just was trying to find the 530
Yes.
in case I'd written it down wrong, and
No.
I didn't find it. So.
We'll definitely send it to you, but as of this morning, there are 530 applications have been paid, or rent or utilities have been paid.
Okay, and are we still having issues with landlords that don't want to participate?
Yes, it's in the minority. We do run across them, but and I
Are
think
these landlords that don't have business licenses in Birmingham and they don't want us to know they're there, or?
I'm sorry, I don't have a breakdown. I don't have.
Seems like we might want to
summary
follow
of
up with
which.
all the ones that want to participate and find out if there's a reason for non-participation, because free money seems like it would be very attractive unless you're doing something.
Right, and we can go through that effort. We do mark within our application portal that whether the landlord agreed to participate or not participate. But the Treasury, as one of those changes, we're required to, if the landlord refuses to participate, pay the applicant directly. So, so we're not as concerned about landlords not participating now because of that change in Treasury guidance, but it's something that we can get you
Well,
some
we still
statistics
might
on.
want to follow up, because
Yes, ma'am.
I know that there are tons of people out there renting places, and of course, in New York, a lot of them drowned in those basement apartments that were illegal, but nobody knew they were there. And hopefully ours aren't basement apartments that are going to flood, but we have landlords we know that don't have business licenses and aren't operating legally.
Right.
So, y'all might just send that list to somebody else since you won't have time to do anything.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
was just curious. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, one more question from Counselor Smitherman.
Hey, Mr. Hatcher, can you remind me, when did we start this program?
When did we start it? We actually began the program in late May. I believe it was May 26th is when we actually began, it was first day we began taking applications.
Okay, well, that's a really good number if we've gotten 530 applications approved. I don't think we've told you thank you. I think that's really important, especially with the eviction moratorium that's about to expire. So I want to say that first. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
And then last question, what is your goal for how many applications you want to approve?
We don't necessarily have a goal. We just want to help as many as households out there. So as far as the dollars will extend, as you know, everyone's case is different. So, you know, we have had some applicants that are 12 months in arrears, and they're eligible to receive 3 months in advance. So that's 15 months. And then we have some applicants that are just, 1 or 2 months behind. So the range in payment amount varies drastically. So there's really no way to predict or no way to, set a number at how many households we want to assist. So, just because funding is limited, our passion and our commitment, that is something that's unlimited. So once these funds do run out, and they will shortly, like I said, we are looking to other CARES Act programming that we do have to try to assist the backlog of applicants that we have, just knowing that we still may not have enough funding available.
So does this program help residents after we've helped pay their back payment, everything, to help them be able to move forward? Because, we can pay for this, but then what's the plan for our residents after we help them? Because we can't keep helping the same residents over and over again. Is that a part of this program as well?
Well, after we've assisted them, they are eligible to reapply. And if their circumstances have not changed, and if funding is still available, we can, continue to assist them. But they will have to go through the application process again. If they are needing 3 months of assistance, then they're going to have to provide us the same income documentation, the same attestation for, COVID negatively impacted them. So it'll just start the process over again.
Okay, and are you still taking applications, or?
We are still taking applications through the application portal. We're monitoring it closely because, we definitely don't want to overpromise. So, like I said, we are, with all of these applications that are in a portal, we just feel like we're reaching capacity very quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I came up with one more question.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so if you give the funds directly to the renter, are they required to use that money to pay their rent, or can they go buy a new car?
Per Treasury guidance, we don't have to track it. So what we've vowed to do here, because we haven't had to actually pay a tenant directly as of yet, what we would prefer to do is that we go and assist. They can contact us with a property that they want to stay in. Our staff or our partners will contact the property management group, and we'll work through that process with them. With ERA2, we can pay relocation expenses, we can pay storage expenses. ERA2 is a little bit of a different animal than ERA1, but we can provide them assistance. We don't want to pay them directly. With the system that we have set up, that is a last case scenario.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, ladies, we're ready to vote. We do have a motion that has been properly seconded, I think.
Yes.
I didn't write it down.
Thank you all.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that is unanimous, and we'll send it to the full council with our recommendation. Our next item is Item 11, a resolution declaring the 80th Magic City Classic a public purpose.
Move the item.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Mr. Mitchell?
Yes. Good afternoon, committee members and Councilor O'Quinn.
Good afternoon.
Before you is just the annual public purpose that we do for the Magic City Classic. The lion's share of the money that's already budgeted in the FY22 budget goes towards the agreement that was already approved by the council, in which it consists of payments to both schools in an amount of $375 apiece. Last week, the council approved the Vector Transportation Group, which is the shuttle service that we'll be using, to an amount of $129,000. On top of that, the remaining funds will just go towards the operations of the entire classic, per se. A lot of things that we do procure are the rental of the bike racks for the transportation shuttle service and for the parade route, and along the, I think that's Greymont Avenue. Some other things that we do with the funding, we work with the BPA. So we rent the parking deck for Botwell for people to park and then get onto the shuttle. We also use a housing authority parking lot on 7th Avenue as another shuttle stop, and an overflow lot that's in Greymont that is the housing authority that we use as an overflow parking lot that we pretty much rent out for the entire program. A lot of the other funds that we do use is just to really assist Park and Rec with just mulch, gravel, paint for the tailgating spots, paint for the field, for just the symbols, just to make it look nice, basically. So that's the gist of most of the funding that's already budgeted in this year's budget.
Okay, thank you. Well, the thing that threw me off was the fact that we had one sentence, and all it said was we were declaring a public purpose. And that, I don't think I've ever, as long as I've sat on budget and finance, I don't think I've ever seen an item with that brevity of explanation of what we're doing. So
that being the synopsis, we submitted a 2-page resolution in the back, but going forward, it would have filled up this whole sheet if we just put the whole resolution on there, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it just was so brief that you had to go read the backup to find out what we were doing, and it just seemed odd.
Yes, ma'am. We'll make sure for the council agenda it'll be more.
Yeah, just put a little more.
We'll put a little more effort
explanation
into it.
on there.
Yes, ma'am.
We're looking for a comfort level here. Ladies, any questions? We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And so that item passes. Our next item is item 17, a funding agreement with the Birmingham Jefferson County Port Authority, under which the BJCPA will provide for the operation of an inland port facility on the Black Warrior River for recreational, transportation, agricultural, industrial, and commercial purposes and other professional services as needed to carry out its duties and responsibilities, and other services that are required to fulfill the intent of the Port Authority Act as defined in Chapter 94 of Title 11 of the Code of Alabama, 1975, and the purposes of the funding agreement. The city will pay BJCPA an amount not to exceed $125,000 for such services, provided that such funding has been approved and included in the city's general fund budget for 2021-22.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes, this is just the yearly allocation that we're giving to the Port Authority that's in the general fund budget. If you have anything outside of what the scope of service that's in the agreement, we have the executive director here to speak to any question that the council may have.
Well, good, because I did have a question, and that was that, we hear the name of the Port Authority kind of tossed around, but we don't really know what they're accomplishing. And so I was hopeful that we could either find out more about what's going on with the Port Authority today, or we could have a report if we ever have a committee of the whole meeting again.
It's the wish of the committee. We have him here, but we can also provide something in depth to the entire council.
Well, I guess what I would ask is, can you give us a quick overview just so we'll be knowledgeable?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening to the council. Dave
And
Russell.
remember our pitiful microphone.
Okay. Good evening to the council. Dave Russell Jr., Executive Director of Birmingham County Port Authority. Quick synopsis would be in 2019, we applied for a DECA grant. In 2020, of February, we was awarded that DECA grant, $840,000 to build a 20,000 square foot facility with the Lynport Terminal. As you know, the next month, COVID hit. Everything was placed on pause. The owners of Lynport actually caught COVID, passed away, so we had to switch to terminals. So we went from Lynport Terminal to Port Birmingham, which is owned and operated by Watco companies. We actually executed a MOU, purchase sale agreement, master lease agreement, and when we went out to bid for the warehouse to complete the warehouse, we came back a little bit over budget because of the building materials price increase, but we're using these funds to continue to go forward with our warehouse project.
Wow. So COVID is alive and well. Any questions from members of the committee? I would like, at some committee of the whole meeting someday, that we would get a,
I got you.
executive summary of what's going on. We don't need a book, but we do need to know. And we realize it's in the budget, but you still want to know what's actually happening. So
Yeah, we'll work with Mr. Russell to make sure that some type of report get to the council.
okay, good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So that item passes and will be sent to the full council. Our next item is item 18, a first amendment to CDBG Housing Rehab and Development Agreement with Christian Service Mission Incorporated, under which the existing agreement dated July 1st, 2020 and approved by resolution number 739-20 will be amended to increase funding in the amount of $150,000 from CDBG funds, bringing the total amount of funding available to an amount not to exceed $300,000 and increasing the number of housing rehab projects from 15 to 20 to a total of up to 55 projects.
I will second.
And it has been moved and properly seconded. Yes,
Good
ma'am.
afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Adrian Stitt, a Deputy Director in Community Development. You have any questions regarding this
I did
item?
have a question. I want to find out how doubling the money makes you able to do 3 times as many houses.
Well, the average cost is between $3,000 to $5,000 with the different services that they provide, roofing mainly, but sometimes they also do siding and some decks. So the costs fluctuate, and based on the budget that we receive, we could possibly go up to the 55 projects.
Okay, so roofing and siding, and don't you do handicap ramps and things like that for houses, or is that a different program?
That's a different program. They can do that, but mostly they do roofing and siding and some decks. But typically, the program you're talking about is through Disability Acts and Resources, Independent Living Resources. That's their other name. That's who typically does the ramps.
Okay,
The
and
handicap ramps.
you put decks on people's houses with this money?
To conform to ADA compliance, yes.
Oh, okay, because I was just thinking, gee,
No,
lots
not-
of people, deck sounds really good, but a roof sounds a lot more important.
Yeah, just to conform for ADA compliance for those eligible residents.
Okay, good. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the program is active, or we're in the process of taking applications? Are people actively receiving funds and getting the work done, or have you taken all the applications and now it's a matter of funding those applications?
They are actively receiving the funds, and it's a combination.
Okay.
They have some, I guess, people on the waiting list that we can service if we were able to fund them with the remaining money.
Okay. And some of the same type of, I won't say the guidelines are similar to ERA, but residents have to bring certain paperwork and certain need-based criteria.
Yes, it's all based on income.
Okay, all
These are federal HUD funds.
All right. Thank you.
Any, Dr. O'Quinn?
Yeah, so one of the issues that my constituents have encountered with the critical repair grants is the requirement that not necessarily being homeowner occupied, but the requirement to have homeowners insurance. That's an obstacle for a lot of folks. Is that something that's still in place?
That is not a requirement that they have to show proof of homeowner insurance. It's only income, proof that you live in the house, and that you own the home.
Okay. Maybe it was something that was specific to the 100 Homes in 100 Days project, but I know in the past that's been...
Now, if you're in a flood zone, flood area, HUD does require us to have the participants have flood insurance, because that just protects, the construction, your investment, but it's not a requirement to have homeowners insurance.
Unless you still have a mortgage, and then the mortgage company
if you still
requires
have a
that you have
mortgage,
homeowners insurance.
That's true.
They will place it for you if you don't have any, so.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes, ma'am?
Where can we direct residents to apply for this home repair? Is it still calling community development?
Yes, because this is, Christian Service Mission is a part of our volunteer rehab program. And it's, we can give you their number directly. I don't have it with me, but I can make sure we get that information to you.
Okay, because I had a lot. I'm sure my other 3 colleagues as well have gotten a lot of people who really need help with these home repairs. And so I think it'll be very helpful to give them an additional number, because I know Mr. Hatcher is probably flooded between this and the Alethea House program. So thank you.
Okay, no problem.
But they call the Christian Service Mission directly, not the city,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, they
Okay,
can.
that's good to know. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that, aye. So that item passes, and it will be sent to the full council. The next item is item 19, an agreement for services with Create Birmingham Incorporated, under which Create Birmingham will provide professional services in attracting and developing film, television, commercial, music video, and other media productions that will have a significant impact on the city's local creative economy. This project should raise Birmingham's national profile as a dynamic and hospitable place to do business. Agreement is for a term of 1 year and for an amount not to exceed $50,000.
Move the item.
Second.
This item has been moved and properly seconded. Mr. Mitchell?
Yes. Any questions from the committee? I don't think the executive director is here, but I have the legal representation from OCA from Mr. Alan Foster can speak to the contract, but I don't think it's Ms. Megan.
Well, I was hoping that the person might be here because I know Buddy Palmer, isn't he the one that was the executive director? And
Yes, he was, and the new
I think
director
he retired,
Yes.
and we have a new lady,
correct.
and
Ms. Bridgman.
I was hoping we'd get to meet her, or at least see what she
We can
looks
make
like.
sure that she's here when the item is before the council next Tuesday.
Okay, that'll be fine, because,
is it-
this is an important group. I know that Buddy Palmer really worked hard to get a lot of film people to Birmingham, and he did some amazing things.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be on the council agenda next Tuesday, so we'll make sure she's here, so you can ask
Okay,
any questions.
that's fine. That was all. I mean, I think that it's a great group, and I just wanted to see who had taken Mr. Palmer's place, because that's the person we'll be dealing with.
Correct.
Okay, if there are no other questions, then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that item passes and will be on the agenda. Next item is item 20, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute and deliver an agreement with B. Grace Media, LLC, an amount not to exceed $60,000, inclusive of any reimbursable expenses, to provide ad placement for COVID-19 crisis management that will assist the City of Birmingham Districts 1, 4, 7, and 9 with interacting with constituents. These services will begin September 1st, 2021, and conclude no later than April 30th, 2022. Said funds will come from City Council discretionary funds.
Move the item.
Second.
Okay, the item has been moved and properly seconded, and I had a question. Is there someone here to answer? I just wanted to understand what exactly Be Grace Media will be doing regarding COVID-19 crisis management. I just want to understand it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chastity Shepard. I am the president of Be Grace Media, and what we do is messaging. So we're doing messaging around COVID-19. We're helping with the health department. We're doing pop-up shops and community engagement.
Okay, so it'll be primarily on TV and radio, or will you communicate with people electronically, or just?
So social media, so we do it all. So anything from social media to ad placement, all of that.
And the end game is to encourage people to
know the facts and to make an informed decision.
And hopefully to get vaccinated on top of that.
Yeah, that too, but
Yeah, that's a pretty important part. Okay, well, I just wanted to understand what y'all were doing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I know y'all are both in on this. No, you're not. Yes, you are. No, you're not. Half of you are and half of you aren't. Anyway, I just didn't know anything about it, so thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Okay, we do have a motion that's been properly seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So that item will go to the council with our recommendation. And we are now to item 28, an ordinance to amend the capital fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022 by transferring $154,000 from Boutwell Auditorium Exhibition Hall roof replacement undesignated, $12,884 from Boutwell Auditorium freight elevator undesignated, and appropriating $166,884.06 to Boutwell improvements.
Move the item.
Second.
Okay, this item has been moved and properly seconded.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell, I guess you're it. I just wanted to know if the roof and the freight elevator are fixed and this is just extra money that we put into the project that we didn't need?
Yes, that's correct. And we're just collapsing it into one project for them to do more things with that funding that is available to do upgrades to the Boutwell.
Well, that's good. It needs some upgrades, so that's excellent. I just wondered because, the roofs are very important, and if your roof leaks, you're in deep trouble. So I just wanted to be sure that it had been completed. So any other questions? We do have a motion that's been properly seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that item will be sent to the full council with our recommendation. Item 29, a resolution authorizing the mayor pursuant to Section 36-25A-3 Code of Alabama 1975 to appropriate funds in the amount not to exceed $40,000 for the authorized services to be used to electronically notify neighborhood residents of city council meeting dates and times, updates on neighborhood improvement and revitalization projects, and citizen awareness initiatives. Said sum to come from the Birmingham City Council discretionary funds.
If I'm not mistaken, the committee considered that item on its consent agenda.
We did.
We do.
Oh, well, you're right. Well, I'll ask my questions at the council meeting. I just wanted to do it in private in case my questions sounded strange. But since we did that, we are ready for item 30.
I move for adjournment.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we are adjourned.